Hi, this very quick video is going to demonstrate the differences between software models and discovery models in the software asset management SAM professional product. So first of all, software models. Software models are a byproduct of the software license entitlements that you are purchasing, right? You're going to be purchasing multiple software products over your lifetime. In a lot of cases, you're going to be purchasing the same software multiple times, and the manufacturer may have updated their product part number or SKU over time. They may have even changed some naming conventions for the product over time, but behind the scenes, they may actually still roll up to the same definitive product. And it's that definitive product what we call a software model. So the blueprint behind the software, right? So a good way to explain that, for example, would be, let's say you have Microsoft Project. So that's your Microsoft is your publisher, Project is your product name. Now there's going to be multiple additions to that product. It could be Project Standard, Project Professional, Ultimate, Enterprise, and so on. And then there could be versions to each of those editions as well. So 2015, 2017, 2019. So each of those combinations of publisher, product, version, and edition will each be their own software model, because each of those combinations of product, publisher, version, edition will likely have their own software licensing rules as well. Microsoft may have changed how they license the product from one version to the next. They may have a different support lifecycle between one version to the next, most likely, right? They may have introduced some new components that are part of the new version that weren't part of the previous version. So for that reason, we need to be able to capture each combination as a unique software model and then provide you attributes about that model that are specific to that combination. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, software models are a byproduct of the software license entitlements that you're purchasing. Software models get automatically created in your CMDB once you import your licenses or you create a license record. So to do that, I'm going to go into license operations. You're going to see a list of all of your entitlements that are in this demo environment. I can create these records multiple ways, and I talked about this in the demo. So you can import the records, you can create an integration with a procurement system, you can provide these templates, these import templates to your resellers. All we really need is publisher's part number. That will give us automatically all the attributes that we need to be able to map that back to our library. So we've got over 4 million part numbers in our library, and that library is going to include additional attributes about that product, like how is it licensed, what type of license is it? Is it a perpetual license? Is it a subscription product? Is it maintenance? And so on, right? You can also fill out a standard form. So if I just go into new, and I had earlier gone to CDW, so that's a reseller. I went to their website and I just copied a manufacturer part number for a product. So I'm just going to plop that in here. I think it was Windows Server. So we'll see that it automatically populates the model associated to that. And you should also see it's automatically updated how that product is going to be licensed. So it's licensed on a per core basis, and it's a perpetual product, right? If it was a different part number, it would have to say, hey, this is actually a step-up product. This is a subscription part number. It's not licensed by core. It might be licensed by processor, by user, and so on. So if I was to remove the publisher part number, which wipes out the model, I can now choose, let me just clear that out. I can now choose all of the available metrics that are available for that specific manufacturer. I can look at some more common metrics that are available, so per user, per device, and so on, and then some other ones from other manufacturers as well that we have available. I'm going to go back to the software model. So earlier I had that part number that maps back to a software model, so that gets automatically populated. And if I go in here, I can now see some information about that software model, so the blueprint behind the asset. Right? So I can see here that I had 6 license entitlement records that I had created or imported over time that map back to this software model. Okay, it's also at this software model level that I can see the lifecycle information. So when did Microsoft release this version edition combination? When does it go end of support? When does it go end of life? And were there any minor versions that were associated to this as well? So this information is coming to us from the ServiceNow content library, which comes to us from the manufacturers. So we actually keep all this information in our content library for you. We keep it updated every 2 weeks. We pump out new updates, right? It's also at the software model record level. You can see some other information that's also coming from our content library. So we'll classify the product for you. So this is an operating system product. We'll tell you, is it licensable? Is it non-licensable? We'll even let you choose whether you want the SAM product to calculate your license compliance position. In some cases, organizations are just getting started. They don't want to be accountable for everything to their senior leadership. They don't want this to show up in dashboards. So you can uncheck that box as well. Obviously, you can identify a product owner. You can set conditions. So you may not want to license this product in your sub-prod environment, right? So if you have any dev test machines, you may not want to license this product in those environments because it may be covered under another agreement with Microsoft. Or you might have a managed service provider that has provided some computers to your organization, and as part of your MSP contract, that managed service provider is responsible to pay for all the software licenses on that computer. So you can set conditions for installs to exclude devices based on computer names, serial numbers, locations, IP ranges, whatever conditions you want to set, you can set those conditions in this section here. Also available here is information around certification. So you can certify whether this is actually permitted to be run in your organization, if it's restricted. And then one of the questions you asked was about your software catalog, right? So you may have a catalog item for someone to actually go ahead and ask for Windows Server to be installed on a device. You can link that catalog item within your catalog management back to this software model. Okay, so all that means is when someone is asking for a piece of software, you may not want to expose the full information in your software model. It may be too complicated for the individual. You might just want to say server operating system, for example, especially if you have lockdown standards. You can keep that name rather vague if you want to for purposeful reasons, or you may want to keep the same name. That's entirely up to you. But the idea between establishing this connection is so that when someone asks for this product, SAMPro knows exactly where to look for available licenses. If there are no licenses available, then SAMPro will know where to create a new license under what model are we actually creating. So we're not creating doubt in your CMDB. We're not creating duplicates. We're not saying, hey, someone wants to go and buy Windows Server 2019 standard. So now they have to fat finger in and key in information in your purchase order system. They may make a mistake. Now suddenly you have Windows Server 2019 standarf with an F instead of a D, right? So little things like that, or worse, you may have had someone put in Windows Server 2020 standard, right? Or enterprise, right? So we ensure that by establishing this relationship, all of the workflows, the automated workflows, are going to be able to do all that operational work for you, nullify the chances of any mistakes, right? Also available in here are the ability to relate this software model to another software model. So in this case, Windows Server 2019 standard is actually part of a suite, right? So it's part of another software model, in this case CIS, or Core Infrastructure Suite, which contains Windows Server 2019 standard, and it may contain another product as well, which I believe it does. I believe it contains SQL Server or SCCM, I believe. So I may be able to see that in here. So if I was to go into this parent software model, and if I see the components in here, I can see that yes, it does contain another component, which is System Center, right? So the other benefit to having a software model is that we can start to populate components and parents for software model records. You can also identify at this stage what you want SAMPro to do with that information. So if SAMPro sees devices that have X% of the components that are part of this suite, then it wants SAMPro to automatically just license the full suite because it may be cheaper to doing that, right? In this case, there's only 2 components, but if you think of something like Adobe Creative Cloud, it can have multiples, Illustrator, InDesign, and so on. And you can find all of that information within the software model record. So if I go back to the operations workspace here, I can go into the software model. So this is a list of all of the models that get automatically created. So if I wanted to look up Adobe Creative Cloud, let me just click on here and we'll search for Creative Cloud. So this is a list of all the models that are created based on entitlements. You can also create a model. So in some cases, you may not have purchased the software licenses yet. You may just be in the process of certifying a new application. You can absolutely create the model record itself without having any entitlements. So here's the Adobe Creative Cloud All Apps. I'm just going to click into that. And here we should be able to see the components of this suite. So here you go. You can see all of the components that make up the Creative Cloud suite, so Photoshop, Illustrator, and so on. So hopefully that explains software models. Now, discovery models is the other side of the equation. It's based on all of the software that's installed. So where software models is a byproduct of purchased licenses, discovery models is a byproduct of all of the installed software. Similar concept, we'll take all the raw discovery data from your discovery sources like SCCM and so on, and we'll be able to normalize them into discovery models. So you'll find that here within discovery models. So you can see all of the software that was discovered by your inventory tools get normalized in this fashion here. Some cases it may not be fully normalized, right? Some cases may require you to manually make some normalization changes. It may not have recognized things. But as I mentioned in our demo with SCCM, you're looking at very high 90% range, so 97, 98% normalization, where the gap of 2 to 3% tends to be for software most organizations don't care about because they're not licensable. So things like plugins, ActiveX's, patches, and things like that. You can manually normalize them or you can ignore them as well. You can see the normalization status of all the software that's been discovered in your environment as well. So let's look at all my normalized software first. So I'm just going to click on normalize. So this is where it's fully normalized down to the edition, down to the version level, right? Let's say if I wanted to see all the installations of WinZip 15.5, right? So this is the definitive model for the installation of 15.5 WinZip. So if I click into this model, I can see there's 45 installations that map back to this very specific model. And why it's important to see exactly which model it maps back to is because we can now see at that model level, so let me just go back to the details of that model, I can see exactly which version Corel, in this case, as the manufacturer, considers the licensing. It doesn't care so much about the minor version after .5. So we're going to normalize that to 15.5 because from a licensing perspective, that's all it cares about. We can also see from our discovery source, it's picking up WinZip Computing SL. We've normalized that to Corel because it is now acquired by Corel. So as software goes through mergers and acquisitions, product name changes, we keep abreast of all of that information as well, right? You can also see your discovery source here as grouped together, the product name as well as the version. We separate that out as well. So little things like that, which, well, may seem little, but when you scale them out to multiple software installations across multiple products, we'll handle that for you. Similar to software models, we'll also tell you whether the installed version of software we're finding is actually licensable, or is it just a patch, and so on, right? If I wanted to see all the software that's in my environment that's not licensable, I can see that as well. So I can just edit this column to bring in any attribute, and I'm going to search for product type. We'll just bring that in here, and we'll just move it up a little, and we'll hit OK. Right. So now I can see all the different types of products, which ones are licensable, which ones aren't licensable, which ones are child components, and so on. Right. So all that information will get populated in our discovery model. Now, we need both the software model and discovery model to be able to give you a license compliance position within our license usage module. So it will take a combination of all the information and the attributes it has from both sides of that equation to be able to produce a compliance position. So if I wanted to see that Corel example, for example, let's go back into Corel. So now I'm going to see a consolidated view of compliance for that specific model. So if I wanted to see WinZip 15, so this was the model name, WinZip 15, we'll just give it a second to update the visualizations. Once you select the model, it will be able to give me a result for that specific product. So it's discovered 36 installations of Corel WinZip 15, and it knows from my entitlement records that I have X number of licenses for or entitlements for that. So I can click in here and it'll take me directly into that entitlement record that we started off this video with. So I can see that I've got, we'll go down, it should give me the rights. I've got 50 licenses, right? And it had, whatever it was, 36 installations. Rather simplistic use case here because it's licensed per user, so it gives me the difference here. Obviously, it gets more complicated if you look at other metrics, but it relies on the same underlying information. It relies on your entitlements from your software models, and it relies on the discovery from your discovery models, right? So the installations. So that's the distinction between the two. If you go back to this overview page, you'll see some normalization suggestions. So this number will keep increasing as our content library continues to mature. So I can click into this. I can see, hey, how do I enhance my discovery model normalization rate? Well, I can look at some of the suggestions that ServiceNow have made based off of new information that's come into our content library. And just to close off, if you are curious about the content library itself, we've made that available. We've exposed that out in the product. You can actually go into the content library and you can look up pretty much anything you want within the software asset management world. So I can see all 375,000 products from a software perspective. Each of these products are going to have multiple part numbers or multiple SKUs that make up the products. So you can go in and see each and every one of those in more depth. So you can see what type of product it is, what classification it is it licensable, what's the life cycle information associated to it. All of that information is available to you. So just for sake of example, let's look for, let's say Visual Studio. It's a Microsoft product. Right, so there's a bunch of different Visual Studio products. So there's Visual Studio tools. Some of them are not even Microsoft products, right? So there's, let me just filter that out and show you just specifically Microsoft, right? So you can see all of the different products that are available for Visual Studio. Not all of them are even going to be licensable. And if I want to see only licensable products, I can bring in that field from the content library. So we call it product type, right? So I can bring the product type in. So now I should be able to see, is it a child component, which most of them are. If I want to see only the licensable products, I can actually just click on licensable, right? So here we go, Visual Studio. Let's pick, let's say Visual Studio Team Services. I can click into that. And now I can see there's 7 part numbers that roll up to this product. I'll be able to see that here. So hopefully this quick video gives you some information about the differences between software models and discovery models. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.